Vasishta said, "Bravo, O Rama, you have attained enlightenment." It's nice to be congratulated on one's enlightenment. Your words have the power of enlightenment. The unreality which seems to exist here disappears when it is not conceived or thought of. Our reality, our everyday reality, consists of thought and conception. So if we can rest in that peace which does not involve our ideas about things, then this is enlightenment. The supreme peace is nirvana, and this is the supreme truth. That state in which the enlightened one exists as if he lives in the very centre of a rock, whether he is alone and at rest, or engaged in diverse activities, that is the state of purity. And that is liberation. Back in chapter 6 of section 6.1, we had the parable of the rock within which the universe exists. And it's worth giving this some further contemplation. The rock is homogenous. It's the same all the way through, and yet within it diversity is perceived. This is the nature of consciousness. Consciousness is homogeneous, and within it diversity is perceived. We can get caught up in that diversity, or we can rest in the rock-like nature of consciousness. And we can rest in that rock-like nature whether we're by ourselves or engaging with other people in diverse activities. That's the state of purity, and that is liberation. We live in that state, O Ram, though we are constantly engaged in diverse activity. You too rest in that state and carry on your work. Now, O Ram, please tell me how you realize that this world, though it seems to be so real, is non-existent. This is the question, or one form of the question which Ram often asked. How did this non-existent reality come to be taken as reality? This question is very pertinent to modern attitudes. I was having a chat recently with a very intelligent fellow who has taken some kind of refuge in atheism. I think that this is in reaction to his Catholic upbringing. And he takes as his cue the reality of matter. Everything is based on matter, including consciousness. Consciousness is based on the brain. The brain is matter. So he's got this very solid understanding, solid in both senses of the word. None of it, of course, relates to his direct experience. It's all theoretical, it's all hypothetical, but this is what he's pinning his convictions to. And it's very difficult to convey an alternative point of view. The idea that this material world is not real, in fact it's non-existent. Well, it is non-existent, it's obviously non-existent. How does one communicate that? He is pinning his conviction to the notion of matter. The physicists, who don't deal with the physical, they deal with forces, are having a lot of trouble finding matter. They look into it and they don't find anything material. So they're hoping to find this God particle which will explain matter. They haven't been able to explain matter. And if you aren't able to explain the existence of something, then maybe it doesn't exist in the first place. But anyway, all these are just ideas, notions. When you're in touch with direct experiencing, there's a sensation of resistance. But there isn't any matter. There's no matter. Ram replied, "This world has not been created even at the very beginning. How then can it be considered to exist now?" When you believe in matter, you have to get caught up in ideas of a beginning. But how can there be a beginning? Especially when that beginning began without any time and without any space. It has no cause. How can an effect be without a cause? Change implies the cessation of one state and the arising of the subsequent state. This is impossible in the changeless reality. If this world is an illusory appearance that is imagined to exist in Brahman, then it is only an illusion. In a dream, a moment is experienced as a lifetime. Every moment in a dream is being infused with memories, a sense of reality, a sense of familiarity. It's all being created. All that continuity is being created in the moment, from moment to moment. Even so, in this world appearance, time is experienced along with the sun and the moon on which time is based. So, taking our cue from the sun and the moon, we build up notions of time, which we then extrapolate into the past, and we extrapolate into the future. So this notion is created based on the sun and the moon. In the infinite consciousness, there is this notion of creation with all its corollaries, time, space, etc. This non-entity appears to function, and that too is false. The accidental arising of this notion appears to persist and become deep-rooted. Or it has to be considered real. How can the false ever even appear to exist? Or perhaps there is no such thing as the real and nothing as unreal. Ultimately, we go beyond that concern of whether something is real or unreal. Whatever it is, is. That which is clear as the sky, full as the centre of a rock, silent and peaceful as the stone, and infinite. Such is the creation. For this creation exists in the pure infinite consciousness, which is the reality of all thoughts and concepts, which together form the subtle body. Certain bundles of notion come together, they coalesce like dust forming a planet around the sun. And that's what gives rise to the jiva. The pure experiencing or awareness that arises in that body is known as this creation. The creation and the jiva are non-different. Thus this creation itself is Brahman. In the Supreme Being itself does the other exist. The latter belongs to the former and is non-different from it. It is therefore supreme peace itself. There is neither a creation, nor movement, nor activity. You realize the stillness and you rest in the stillness. When dream is realized as dream, the false notion vanishes. Awareness drops its object and rests in the infinite consciousness. In other words, we drop our conviction in the belief that there's an external world, an external material world out there, and we rest in the conviction, and we rest in the realization of infinite consciousness.